right, hey guys, welcome to Indie Faith Podcast. You're here with Jules and Mary. We're up to episode 23. Oh my gosh. How you been, Chus? How's it going?
I'm good. Getting closer.
Yeah, so close. So close.
But yeah, good. Starting to feel the pains now.
Yeah.
But yeah. How about you?
I'm all right. It's the weekend, so I'm happy.
I know.
Yep.
Actually, I logged off on Friday.
Woo!
So maternity leave starts now.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
As soon as I put my out of office in, shut down, and I was just like, I was on a buzz.
Yeah. I was on a buzz for you. I was messaging you like, oh my gosh, happy last day.
Yeah. But yeah, soon, very soon.
Very soon. There'll be another bubba, so exciting stuff. Okay, so I think we're just going to get right into it. I'm up with the Icebreaker this week. It's so simple. It's not even funny. We will be playing Scissors, Paper, Rock.
All right.
I already told you I was like, it's so simple. Best out of 3. I feel like I'm quite a champion at this, but I probably just jinxed myself. So we'll do best out of 3. Whoever wins, you get a hug. Okay, you ready?
Anything else? What if you lose?
I'll give you a hug.
All right.
Okay, you ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Scissors, paper, rock. 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 Yes! It was meant to be best out of 3 bows. So that's all right. All right, so that's the Icebreaker. I hope you enjoyed that. I sure did.
Congratulations. I'm surprised you did it. Gang, come on.
I was thinking about it, but then I was like, do people know what that is? Let us know if you know what that is.
Who was it? Oh, somebody said gang, gamoko.
There was another one. I'm pretty sure it was an uncle. They were just like, gang, karoo.
Oh, yeah, from Laffy Songs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's 2.
Okay, so next segment is a joke.
Okay.
I hope you haven't heard this one before.
Okay. Bring it on.
Okay. So there were 3 guys, and they were stranded on a desert island with cannibals.
Okay.
The cannibals said, each one of you come back with 10 pieces of fruit and shove them up your butt. But showing no emotion. If you could do that, you'll be set free. You heard it? Oh,
no, I haven't heard it.
Okay, so the first guy came back and he had 10 apples.
Okay.
So by the second one,
Yeah.
he started to grunt. So
Okay.
he was killed. He was killed and eaten.
Morbid.
And then the second one came back with cherries.
Okay.
And so when he went to put the 10th one up, he started cracking up laughing. And so he was killed and eaten. So these 2 guys met in heaven. And the first guy said, dude, you were so close. What happened? And the second guy goes, yeah, I would have made it. But I saw the third guy come back with pineapples. Yeah.
Okay. But they all ended up in heaven.
Yeah.
I like that one. I like it. Very explicit one for you guys today, but I like it. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, that was my joke of the day. So what's on your mind? So this one, I actually was like, I actually thought about this one. I was like, so true.
Yeah.
But how come theme parks can snap a crystal clear picture of you on a roller coaster at 70 miles per hour,
Oh, yeah.
but bank cameras can't even get a clear shot of a robber standing still? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what I mean because never mind.
But you're one of those robbers.
Oh my gosh. That's actually true because every time we go to like an amusement park and it snaps the shot of us and we have to go buy it and it's like extremely overpriced, we look like you can see everything, like pimples and all.
You can see your ugly features. But then the bank, you can't even, it's just blurry as shit. So how come, huh?
Someone let us know if you know the answer.
Yeah.
Because that's actually a good one. That was a good one.
I read some answers and they were like, because, you know, at the theme parks, you only have like, you know, the 1 or 2 or something cameras, whereas you'd have to invest more money in having cameras in all banks, like the quality cameras.
Yeah.
But they were like, yeah. But I was like,
it's like an oxymoron. It's a freaking bank. They should have money to pay for the damn cameras.
Exactly.
No, food for thought.
Exactly. I was on my mind all week.
I'm glad you didn't tell me because I'm still thinking like, what the heck?
Yeah, because sometimes you look at your theme park photos, you wish they were blurry.
You didn't even buy them. As soon as you see it, like, oh, nah, I don't want to buy it.
All right.
Okay. I think next we're going to have story of the day.
Yes.
What do you have for us, Cuz?
So, story of the day. I'm going to change it up a little bit. So, usually, story of the day is what we talk about current, events or current news that are happening around the world. Mm-hmm. Today, I wanted to. So my story is more history based.
Okay.
And I think it will segue nicely into the main topic.
Sweet. All right.
So today, the story of the day is about dawn raids.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, in New Zealand. So not to be mistaken for dawn raid entertainment. We're talking about the actual operation of dawn raids in New Zealand.
Yeah. That
happened, which I'm pretty sure dawn raid entertainment, like that's where the name derived from. So just a little bit of history. So
I actually got scared, but I was like, focus.
That's why I did the corner of my eye. I didn't actually see your face. One of our boxes just dropped. Okay, so around 1970s or late 60s, there was the post-war, there was an economic
crisis?
Yeah, in New Zealand.
Okay.
And so what happened was, gosh, I'm running out of breath.
It's okay. Take your time.
Okay, so the economy in New Zealand was pretty bad at the time after, like, post-war.
Yeah.
And then, so what they did was the New Zealand government introduced this new, this immigration policy where they sort of encourage Pasefika people to migrate to New Zealand. Mm-hmm. And so they were to migrate to New Zealand and work in the mainly labor, like do, labor work, intensive factory work and all that stuff. So jobs that, no one else wanted to do. And I'm pretty sure for minimum wage as well. Yeah. So you had all these like Pacific Islanders come over from the islands to New Zealand and they're working these laborious jobs. Even though they came on a visa, the New Zealand government, like, they kind of turned a blind eye to the expiry dates of those visas. So they were overstays. Yeah. But then, so years later, so once it started working and a lot of Pacific Islanders were, working these jobs, the jobs started drying up in New Zealand in around the 70s. Yeah. And so then Pacific Islander people were started to be seen as a burden on the welfare system. And then that's when the New Zealand government introduced dawn raid. So what they do is you'd have it was an operation where you had this special police squads and they'd conduct raids on the home and workplaces of like Pasefika people to find out, if they were overstayers. And if they were
deported?
Prosecuted and deported. And usually it was like in an aggressive manner as well. Yeah. So like, and why it's called dawn raids is because those operations usually happened in dawn. Yeah. So why it was a big thing was because they unfairly targeted Pasefika people. So overstayers, right? Apparently, so Pasefika people only made up 1/3 of those of overstayers, or 1 out of 3. Yeah. But 86% of the people that were prosecuted and deported were Polynesian. which is unfair because they only made up like a third.
Yeah.
So what happened to all those other overstayers?
Yeah.
If 86% of those, that were arrested and prosecuted and deported were Polynesians, the others pretty much got away scot-free. The majority of other overstayers were actually from Great Britain, Australia, and South Africa. Yeah. Also, during that time, like there was a few activist groups as well, but the main one around that time was Polynesian Panther Party.
Yeah.
So they were a revolutionary social justice group, and they were formed to target like racial inequalities and usually when with the police raids, they were very aggressive. So these people would go in and protect the Pasefika people. Yeah. And then, and they were influenced by the American Black Panther Party. Yeah. Yeah. So in protest, the Polynesian Panther Party, they organized what they call counter raids. So just like how they would raid, homes of Pasefika people, they went and
did they raid the other percentage that were overstayers?
No, they went to the homes of the what is it? A lot of prominent cabinet members. So oh wow! So they went to their homes, and what they used to do was they'd shine lights onto the house. Yeah, I'm pretty sure from like parked cars and that. So they'd boost up the lights, and then they'd use a megaphone, and they would chant through those megaphones. So in a way, kind of harassing them. But yeah, you know what happened because of that? The government dawn raids ended less than 3 weeks after that.
Really?
After that protest.
Wow.
Yeah.
They scared them that much.
But then they, the government were like, it wasn't making a difference anyway, so we decided to end it. But I was like, no, you guys were scared because these people did, because of the Panther Party. Yeah.
Well, they basically did what the government were doing to these overstayers. Yeah. At least it wasn't with full force, and they actually went into the homes and, took them out. Yeah. They were just showing how scared, the actual Pasefika people were with them doing that. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, they never went into the homes. They just, surrounded the house. Yeah. And then they just filled it with light and then chanted on the megaphones. But, 3 weeks after that, after that protest, the dawn raid stopped. Yeah. The Polynesian Panther Party as well, they're also known for their protest that they did in the 1981 Springbok tour. So because at the time, South Africa, they had the apartheid. Yeah. So when they came to New Zealand for a rugby match, they said New Zealand sport teams, so the New Zealand sports teams, they had to exclude the Māori and the Pacific Islander players.
Is that
for the safety of their players? Yeah, so pretty much only white players only. Mm. Yeah. So, that apparently there was a massive protest as well during that time.
But weren't the Pacific Islanders, don't they make up the majority of New Zealand teams anyway? At that time? Or was it mainly Palangi people?
I'm not sure. I don't think in the 70s.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, probably not. Or the early 80s. But regardless, they just told them to select.
Was that kind of their, this is what you get for scaring that particular, because we've ended the dawn raids, this is what we're going to do to you now. Is keep you from playing sports or
Probably, but it was mainly the South Africans because in their country they were going through they're going through apartheid and all the segregation there. So then when they came here, they expected New Zealand to follow the segregation rules.
Oh, I see.
And then and then that's where they had it. Like,
And New
it was a
Zealand followed
massive-
that? Like New Zealand
Yeah.
were like, oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's why there was that massive protest that happened.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so that was my story of the day. So the reason why I wanted to bring this up is like a kind of like
Segue.
well, kind of like we get, I wanted to highlight more, a part of the like history. I also think it also leads into our topic for today. But yeah, I think it's something important that we all like. I didn't know about it until recently.
Yeah.
Apparently, I think there's a movie,
Which one?
a Dawn Raids movie coming out.
I don't know.
I might be wrong. Sorry, don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always heard about Dawn Raids, but always associated it to Dawn Raid Entertainment.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, when I learnt about it, I was like, shit. This was a part of our history that we didn't even know.
That was awesome.
I did mention it last week. Last
You did.
episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, with that knowledge,
Yeah.
we will. I'll hand it over to you, Chus, for our main topic.
Yeah. So today is a bit different. Usually we talk about all sorts of things. Today we're sort of going into so our Pasefika people, specifically our youth, and the life of gangs and whatnot. Mm-hmm. We know it's a very controversial topic to talk about, but I don't feel like anyone really, really talks about it, to be quite honest. We know it happens. We know it occurs in whether it's in Australia or New Zealand, but no one really dives deep into it. So we're just gonna talk a little bit about that today. Okay, so for me, I think were you exposed to anything like gang related, like growing up or anything?
In New Zealand, well, I was never exposed directly to it, but in New Zealand, like you knew where the homes were, where gang members would stay.
Yeah.
There was one time I was at school as well, and we were playing on the school playground, and we saw like a raid. Speaking of raids, but we saw a raid happening.
Oh.
Right, at this house right by our school. Apparently a gang member used to live there, but we just saw all these cops like surrounding the house, and it was very quiet as well the way they did it. But they were all in black.
Jeez.
And then I remembered they just like stormed through the house. I don't know what else happened after that. We were all on the playground just like watching, and it was kind of scary as well. But I think there were a few arrests.
Yeah.
There, but that was quite common.
Yeah.
In NZ, you see that sort of stuff.
I didn't really have any sort of exposure to it here in Australia. If anything, it's what I saw on TV.
Yeah.
Because you see like different things, but for me, it was mainly like in America, like those sorts of gangs. We'd see it on like TV or in movies or whatever.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything like within where I grew up, so I wasn't really exposed to it. So yeah. But what's your views on actual gangs?
Honestly, I was a very anti-gang. In high school, actually, there was this big thing back when I was in high school, and all these students, it was always like they wanted to be in a gang. So, there was always this Bloods and Crips representation, and none of them were in those gangs. And then, a lot of them were like, I don't know if it's a true thing that, like, it's like Bloods are Samoan, Crips are Tongan or something like that. I was like, isn't this like an African-American thing, like back in the States? I had like, how did it get here? Like, anyway, I didn't understand that, but everybody at school, they would always, draw the colors and all of that. But but I think because of that, and just like I associated it with, these teenagers just wanting to be cool. And, you always, because of, like you said, media, it's always associated to crime.
Yeah.
And I was never a big fan of it.
I wasn't, because you're right. In high school, we did have that as well, like the Samoans versus the Tongans, and there were even fights that took place in schools and stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't really, for me, it didn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
It was kind of like I had my like, what's that thing called? Is it like blinders or something?
Oh, yeah.
Where you pretend like you don't really notice it, and it's just like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
They're in their own type of gangs. But I knew it was around, but I think it was because I just didn't pay any attention to it, so to speak. I didn't really care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like in my area too, like Pacific Islanders alone, I don't think it was that big a thing in our area compared to your area, where it's predominantly islanders there. But we grew up with like the Asian gangs and the other
okay.
Yes. So I never really heard much about Polynesians being in gangs, other than like kids at school.
Yeah.
Sort of representing.
Yeah.
Bloods and Crips.
I think I had a few. Not friends, but I knew of people who were in gangs, or they were their family members are in gangs, or they've grown up, and that's like they're really exposed to it, kind of thing. I think the main question I have for this is, why do you think our youth, and I know all sorts of youth like join gangs,
yeah,
but I think specifically, why do Pasefika kids, think that, like, why do they go down that path?
I think that like there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And we watched, probably shouldn't be, because we were saying media.
Yeah.
That's all we get our information from. But we did watch that Savage movie.
Yeah.
And like, the themes in that kind of, it sort of in a way correlates to, how our young Pasifika people are.
Yeah.
Especially when you go through like abusive like home situations, and like it's always like I feel like it starts at the home. Trouble at home, and then our youth sort of don't know what to do with themselves. They're just looking for an escape.
Yeah, like that sense of belonging, I suppose.
Yeah, and then they just, I think it depends on the group of people you hang out with as well. If you're associated with somebody that's in a gang, it's an easy access in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
so,
you're going to sort of gravitate towards it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of debate about because different singers and like rappers and drillers and stuff like that. A lot of my friends believe it's got to do with the music, especially in our like society now. But I don't know if people are going to agree. I don't specifically blame it on music, if that makes sense, because there's all sorts of things that can contribute to a kid deciding to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily, because if I'm going to be completely honest, I actually really enjoy listening to the music.
Yeah.
I think it's quite, I think when I see someone who looks like me and they're making something of themselves, granted it's not in a way that most people agree with, I think it's a good thing. Because they're sort of expressing what they went through. And they're doing it in a form of art, so to speak. But a lot of people don't, like I have friends who don't let their kids listen to that sort of music. And I agree, like it's each to their own.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's got to do with specifically media, like music. It's mainly music because you know how, one falls out and all that stuff. And they believe, especially with the poor boy who passed away from gang violence, a lot of people are targeting like artists because it's their music that's made kids want to like become this sort of stereotype.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
To be honest, I think it does have an influence on the younger generation. I think like the type of music, like, they might come out and they rap about their experiences and stuff. But when you're young, and you say you're a fan, you want to do the things that your idol did.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Even if it was for the person that created that music, that was their life struggles. Whereas somebody who could have like, an okay life might look at that and be like, oh man, that's so cool. I want to do that. Yeah. But it's like they had no choice. Yeah. Like, it just happened the way it did. Yeah. But I think it influences them to want to do those things
Yeah.
that make them, they think that or make them look cool.
I think that's a true thing because especially Pasefika kids, we want to have this like look that we are cool.
Yeah.
Especially fitting in with somewhere like, you know, specific groups and everything. We want to be able to say, oh yeah, we're pretty cool because we do this.
Yeah. I think that, like, you know, naturally our youth, especially Pasefika people, because we're very community based. We're very like tribal people, so we work better as a group.
Yeah.
And you know, that's how we were in the islands.
Yeah.
You know, we had our villages, and that's how we were like sort of, that was our identity. You know, even now you ask somebody, what village is your dad from? You know, like, you wouldn't think that that's relevant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to ask, oh, where are you from? Or
Yeah.
what village is your dad from? It's like, why do you want to know?
Yeah.
But to us, like, it's a sense of
Community.
identity. So, like, you know, that representation of, you know, the group that you're from. Yeah. So, like, coming into Western society, right, where it's dominated by white people, you gravitate towards people of the same ethnicity. And then, you know, naturally, because we're like tribal people, we would form a group.
Yeah.
You could argue that what's the difference between just a group of people hanging out and a gang?
I think the difference would be with gangs, you obviously know that there's like some form of violence, like, you know, illegal things that happen.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that in a normal group that they don't do illegal stuff or anything like that, but I think it's gangs are a lot more, I don't know, what's the word for it? Like they're not afraid to dive into things that are even more out of scope than within a normal group. So you can have like a normal group of like islanders and they could be a church group.
Yeah.
Or they could be like a study group, or they could be, you know, musicians and artists or whatever that want to like sort of do different things.
Yeah.
Or sports teams or anything. But I think gangs specifically is more you there's those stereotypes of, you know, there's going to be violence, there's going to be fights, there's going to be like alcohol and drugs and stuff like. I think that's what I think. I don't know because I you know, who am I? But that's just what I think.
Yeah, and I think, but like you know, there are people that are they're a group of people. They can still do violence.
True.
They can still commit crime. They can still do things that are illegal.
Yeah.
We've seen a few people, like, even if it was a group of cousins that did that, but just because they're not in a gang,
True.
how is that more acceptable? You know, like, I think another thing about stereotypes is that, you know, when outsiders sort of look in, they would, I think because we're minorities anyway, so they would look at any sort of group of people as gangs. So it's almost like even if you weren't in a gang,
Yeah.
you still get treated like you're
associated.
in a gang. Yeah. So that unfairness and that, you know, mistreatment of our youth,
Yeah.
and they're not even in a gang, why wouldn't they be in one?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, you think I'm in a gang? Well, I might as well join a gang then. You know what I mean?
But I don't know if that's. Oh, but I guess it's a child sort of mentality to have, because I'm looking at it like from my point of view, and if someone accused me of being in a gang just because I'm in a group, I'd be like, well, you're just stupid because I'm just in a group.
Yeah, but I think I don't know, but say for example, or a lot of people in especially in your area. I'm sorry to keep
I know,
saying
it's just like,
I'm
stop
sorry
coming for me.
because like out of the two areas, your area is predominantly islanders.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of this, and it's a commonality where a lot of the youth there, I've noticed, are very much against authority, are very much against police. Like they hate it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't understand because I live out this way and I don't really experience what they they go through. But from what I hear, and I hear this from a few other people as well, is that they find that they get mistreated by, like, they're not doing anything. I guess you would say the same for blacks, right? When you're just like a group of you just hanging out at the shops, or something like that, because that's usually where they congregate. But like, even if they weren't doing anything, just the fact that they're all in a group, already draws attention from police, or from like security guards, or you know what I mean. And it's like, no matter what they're doing, they'll get in trouble anyway. And they're always in trouble.
I think I see where you're coming from, but I don't. For me personally, I don't have anything against authority. That's because I haven't experienced what a lot of other people may have experienced. I know a lot of my friends and family members will speak on it and tell me of their experiences. But I think I've just, like I said, maybe I'm just blinded by. I just pretend like I can't see stuff, because I've been to like a shop. I've been to a shop where I've got my school bag, or like I'm walking through and I could already feel that I'm being followed. And but for me, I think in my mind, I don't get bothered because I know I have nothing to sort of be afraid of. So if I, like, obviously I'm annoyed that they're like, oh yeah, they already, like, they don't want to, they already put this idea in their heads that I'm going to either steal or I'm trouble, or, you know, because of my complexion, they've got a problem. So, but I think when it's for me, when I get to the register and then they're like, oh, can I see your bag? I show them so I can show them, like, you're the idiot. And that makes me feel better about myself, because I'm just like, I know who I am. I know I'm not going in there to start trouble or anything. But I feel like I wish a lot of our people did that, rather than go straight to, you know, anger, or being offended. Like, I know it's offensive. I'm not going to pretend like it's not offensive or it doesn't bother me. But rather than that, just prove to them that we're not going to cause any sort of trouble, kind of thing. That's just me personally, because I love proving people wrong. And I just want that for our people. Like, just prove others wrong. If not for them, just yourself. Because it just, when I walk out with a lot of pride. And sometimes I'm quite petty. But I understand for our youth, especially our youth in groups and at malls, I have no issues because I see them every day. I think I grew up with them. I see them. Most of us know who we are. If not me specifically, they know of my siblings or, you know, my friends or whatever. Most of us have a gist, like we know who each other are. So we're not bothered by each other. Whereas I know there's other instances where a lot of islanders I know in this area don't get along with people in your area. And it baffles me because I'm like, why? How can you not? You're looking at you. That's just how I see it. If you're looking at a person who looks like you and you've got an issue with them solely based on their postcode, it legit baffles me.
And that's a good point actually that you brought up, because and that's a common thing with gangs as well when it comes to territory. They're very protective of their territory. Anything outside that territory is like a rival. You know what I mean? So it can. It's weird that it's like that, even though we're all the same people. There's no, but when you are in those groups, you know what I mean? There is it's like we kind of in our own way create division amongst ourselves. So we've created all these little groups, but then we rival against those groups. Even though we're the same. But it's over territory. Which is weird.
I know why people are very proud of where they're from, because I'm quite proud of where I'm from. It's not like a flash neighborhood, and it's not like the most, like, most people when they hear where I'm from, they're just like, oh, you're one of those, especially at work. And I'm just like, I was like, you don't know anything. But it's for me, it's where I grew up. It keeps me grounded, and whatever's going on in my life, you know, that's home. Like I was raised there. I grew up there. I have heaps of, like, you know, memories there. I can understand why our youth are quite protective over where they're from. Because I think it's where they feel the most safest. They're just like, this is where I'm like the most safe I'll ever be.
Yeah.
That's why when I enter another territory, I'm already defensive.
Yeah. Yeah. But that also like goes to show the stereotypes as well of these territories, because just because your area is, predominantly Pacific Islanders, and then it links to the media always focusing on those areas, on the crimes in those areas, because we have a higher population of Pacific Islanders in that area. So it's, there is stereotypes of the West. Just like I'm pretty sure there's like in New Zealand, I don't know, Otara maybe, they single out, these certain areas where it's predominantly Islanders. Yeah. And it's more to, sort of enhance that stereotype that we're violent people, that we're criminals, and all that. Whereas out these ways, there's not many of us here, so there's not much that they can say about, our area. Yeah. So, but if you look at the area alone, there's no difference. Like you have your, like lower class streets, and then you have like these really high class, like out your area. There's heaps of them. Heaps of like big homes, newly built homes. It's not like poor, but the reason why people say it's poor is because of the people. Yeah. It's got nothing to do with the actual cleanliness of the area or whatever, or high class. Yeah, but it's more like how the media depict our people in those areas. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's why a lot of the rappers and Pacific Islanders who are artists and everything in our area or any area really, especially when they do talk about authority and stuff, that's their experiences. I cannot speak on that, because they've dealt with that. I've had family who have been targeted when they go to like clubs and stuff and like different things, and they already like the bouncers already like, oh, we need to see your ID and stuff. Yeah. And again, I understand why our kids, even us as adults, we already get annoyed and like not really happy about being approached like that. Yeah. But I just really think there's just a smarter way of doing things. I'm not saying if you're in a gang or if, gang-related people, because they're quite – I know a lot of people who are quite smart. But I mean like in the sense of don't give them the opportunity to want to like do something to you or want to like – what's the word? Take advantage?
Yeah, because they want you to react. Yeah. I know for a fact they want a reaction out of you. Yeah. And when you give it to them – you lose. Yeah. Because they're just like, yes, I got them. Yeah. And I'm just like, don't give it to them. They just prove them wrong and show them that we are smart. I reckon we're one of the smartest people ever. It's just when we react in a way that's not socially acceptable, I suppose, we get the shit. Like we get thrown into like, juvies or prisons or get, looked at as savages and look at them like that's just how they are, like it's an island thing or whatever. But that's just what I think. But what are you going to do? Because, like, we have kids. How you said it starts from home? Mm-hmm. I sort of agree, but I sort of don't. But I'll wait for you to answer this. What are you going to do so that your kids don't follow that path? Like, what do you think are the steps that parents should take so it avoids their kids going down that route? Okay. Actually, sorry, I'll just go off topic for a bit. So I just wanted to do a little bit of provide a bit of facts as well. Okay. So there was a study that was conducted on why our young people join gangs. Oh, great. Well, not great, but great, you got facts. So in this survey, a group of these youth, like Pacific Islander youth people, said it was mainly because of family problems. Okay. That was the number one reason why. Yeah. I think that was, I would say about 70-80% of them said number one reason why is family problems. Okay. So be kicked out of their home, escaping abusive home situations. So
getting hidings.
Yeah.
Some is, some of them actually go hard out.
Yeah.
Or abuse, like watching the father beat up the mother, or even sexual abuse.
Yeah.
The other one is rebelling against their parents. So I think we get naturally, not naturally, but growing up, I also experienced this as well. There's that strict pressure from our parents to be a certain way. We can't be anything else. We can't even think for ourselves. Everything is about the family. Everything is about, pride for the family and all of that. So working, I'll bring this up, but working for the family, forcing these kids to, either finish school, your path is either uni or straight away a job, or even drop out of school and go get a job because they need the income.
Yeah.
So all of that pressure at home, all of the abuse, that's why they voted family problems was the main reason why.
Yeah.
The second reason, and it wasn't far from the family problems as well, was related to low social and economic status. So again, desire to go out there and get money, and be part of a support network.
Yep.
So it was quick cash, and just being
part of a group.
A group, yeah, because you get that support. You got people that have your back.
Yeah,
it's almost like you got a new family.
Yeah.
So if you don't have you came from a shitty home.
Yeah.
You're pretty much searching for a new family anyway. And because these people accept you in, they support you.
So it's everything they didn't get from their actual family home.
Yeah.
They've gravitated towards that.
Yeah.
And that's why okay.
Yeah. And say, for example, especially at Pasefika home, like we said, abuse, the pressure about, financial pressure, authority and all that. When they go to gangs, they get the network. They get the support from the people. They get money from gangs, and they get security from gangs.
Okay.
So all the stuff that they're missing from home. And then the third one. There were all these other reasons, but these were the top three. So the third one was peer pressure. So joining a gang, are seen as being cool, especially for teenagers. And it's, I guess, when you're already going through shit, we all do.
Yeah.
We all go through a hard time. We all go through, areas where you're doubting yourself and you feel unwanted. You want to escape. And if you are linked with somebody that's already associated with a gang, straight away, that's easy access, or or in a way they kind of pressure you into it.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's like what Judge Judy says. I watch Judge Judy, but she always says if you hang out with a bad apple, you're gonna end up rotten like the rest of the bad apples. And I'm not saying that gangs are all bad apples. I'm just saying if you hang out with someone who's peer pressure, not good for you, any sort of relationship, you're gonna end up like a rotten apple.
Wow, that sounds like my dad.
Yes, it does.
growing up, my dad in Samoa, I'll say what he says in Samoa. He goes, "Awole leanga malileanga." Awole leanga malilele eleanga uma. Yeah, which means if you're friends with somebody that is bad. Oh wait, sorry. If if you're friends with someone that's bad and someone that's good, eventually you're both bad.
Yeah, pretty much.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's but yeah, so that was the results that came from that study.
That actually that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go back to answering your question. So the family situation I think is the biggest thing, because when you're little, the security, when you're really, really little, The things you want the most is security, support, and,
I guess safety.
Safety, yeah. And also attention. When you're deprived of those things, when you're little, and then you grow up, especially when you're a teenager, because it's natural for teenagers to rebel.
They're so impressionable.
Yeah. And they rebel because they want to be impressionable as well. Yeah. So, like, when they're missing any of those things, they're eventually going to go search for it somewhere else. And if the first thing that can come up with is a gang, they'll go to a gang because they know they get all those things.
Yeah.
As we can say as much as we want about gangs, whether they're, illegal, drugs, crime, and all of that. But if they're providing those emotional needs to our youth, that's why they're in there.
Okay.
But yeah, so that those sort of emotional needs, that's what I focus on with my son, because I'm going to have 2 sons. So that's what I try really hard to implement is making sure that they feel secure, making sure they feel supported, making sure that I don't put any financial pressure on them either.
Yeah.
They're still little, but just focusing more on the emotional needs, so that when they do grow up, they're strong enough mentally to be able to be to stand on their own and know who they are. Yeah. Because another thing is identity as well for our youth. Yeah. They don't know who they are. So a gang, because a gang is like I said, the difference between a group of people and a gang is that, like, with a gang, you have that name. The name of the gang means more to it's significant to it's significant to the people in that gang because it's how they identify themselves. It's their representation. People know them. They would know their name, and that's why it's a big thing. Yeah, and that's why, I guess it's more a sense of power in a way, especially with our Pasefika youth, like males. Yeah, they want to feel powerful as well. They want to feel strong. More like, I think, because naturally when you're young as well, you want to be
like a part of something.
Yeah, but more they want to be more like have that sort of that demeanor where they're like very intimidating. Yeah. So you do not cross them. Because they've been hurt how many times when they were younger. This is their way to show strength, to be this real tough, dominant figure, you know what I mean? Yeah. And being associated in a group, in a gang, where there's a lot of other males that, represent that strength, you want to be part of it. Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with what you said. I think sometimes I'm a bit, I don't know what the word is, but as for me, with parents and kids, like you have to do all those things to obviously teach them and guide them. Because that's pretty much what we do as parents is we guide our kids on a path where we want them to be. Well, not even we want them to be, but on a path that will better them. Yep. And lead them to a better sort of life and everything. My only disagreement is that I feel like parents can only do so much. If that makes sense, they can do as much as they can. Yeah. But with kids, they have a mind of their own. Oh, yeah. So they're eventually going to do what they want to do anyway. I'm not saying that's a cop-out or an excuse. I'm just saying for me, I'm going to try my hardest to raise my daughter in a way where she is independent. Yeah. She knows who she is. She's strong. And she's not easily influenced by others. Yep. But I've seen instances where parents they do as much as they can. They even try all of that stuff, the security, the sense of safety, the emotional support. But their kids still want to go down a different path, which ends up at that point. Okay. But I completely agree. I feel like I'm pretty sure the majority of our youth who have ended up down that route didn't get that at home. Yeah. But I think I'm just a bit I'm Switzerland. So
Did you say Switzerland?
yeah. So you know how they're like on both sides? So like I know that's from home, but I also know kids have a mind of their own. So it's just so hard because you just don't know if you're going to give them enough for them to be able to say, no, I don't want to go down that path.
Yeah.
I want to do something else.
Okay, I'll challenge you on that one. Okay, so you said kids have a mind of their own. And we're talking how old?
Jeez. I feel like kids have a sense of their own, like, what they want to do quite, like, probably in their, like, teen years, like, pre-teens, even like, especially when, for me as a teenager, as much as I would want things, I still did things where I didn't listen to my parents.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah.
Okay. But then did you know what career you were going to be in?
Nah. Oh, actually, I think I chose a career that my mum wanted for me.
Yeah.
I didn't, it was one of those, I thought I wanted it for myself, and it wasn't until I got older, and then I was like, no, I actually don't want this. Yeah.
But yeah, like, my point is, like, with kids, and I'm talking about my own experience, I had no idea what I wanted. Like, I thought at the time I had a mind of my own. I thought that I could make decisions on my own. But I at that point, I didn't have enough life experience to be able to know what the right decisions are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, job-wise, I had no idea.
Yeah.
When I finished school, I didn't even know anything about tax.
Yeah. Same.
I didn't even know anything about
They should teach that in schools, by the way.
But you know what I mean? Like, you're limited.
Yes.
Because you don't have that experience.
Yeah.
Parents have that experience. And I find that, like, you know, I'm not saying all, but I find our Pasefika parent, like, you know, our older generation, they also are restricted in their experience because it's just, for them, they were going through the same cycle. It's home, finish school, work.
Yeah.
And it's any work, usually factory work.
Yeah.
And that's all they know.
So true, though.
Yeah. So with a teenager, because that's the example that was set, they follow that. But until now, and I haven't seen this in previous generations, until now, I've never seen previous generations tell their kids there's other areas that they can go to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There wasn't like a push to follow your passions or to
explore other things.
Yeah. Or even like anything mentally.
Yeah.
Like, you know, find out who you are as a person. Because I think that's another important thing is that we don't know who we are.
Yeah.
In my like teenage years, you're kind of clueless.
Yeah.
And then when you're in your 20s, you're kind of forced into the deep end.
Yeah.
And then you have to figure things out yourself. But, like, in a way, that's important. But if you don't have that guidance to help you sort of be like, you know, just sway you this way or sway you that way, it's like you wouldn't know what decision you're making.
Yeah.
Because I find that some people, like some youth, look at gangs in a more positive way. Not like our parents, you know what I mean? They look at it in a negative way. But then they don't know. They don't know the implications. They don't know the consequences. They just know about all the cool stuff that's related to gangs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, that's why I say with teenagers especially, you can't expect them to know, to have their own mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not like.
She just put me in my place.
No, I'm not.
No, because I've actually come around now. I'm just like, oh yeah, okay.
No, I wasn't. I was, like, there is, like, you know, I totally agree with what you said as well, because, you know, it's not I'm not blaming parents fully.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure there are parents out there that do the right thing. But then it's more so why is it happening then?
Yeah, that makes sense, because especially with the 3 reasons you just said, that means those parents didn't do those things.
Well, I mean, like, we're all, like, it's hard to be a parent. Oh, yeah, it's hard.
If you're not a parent and you think it's easy, please don't think that.
Yeah. It is hard. Like, I can understand. And there's no sort of book that tells you what the right, how to raise your kid right. But yeah, like, I 100% agree with what you said.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it could be just the influence of the people they're hanging around with as well. Like, they could have everything at home, but then when they're hanging out with other kids that are, not so good, then that might push them into...
Yeah. But see, I also agree with what you said, because you know how kids, you're right, they can't actually make decisions, like especially massive, like life-altering decisions. They can't do that on their own. So I see what you're saying. So I agree with what you're saying too.
Yeah. It's just like... I don't even know what I was trying to say.
Oh, okay.
I was just trying to catch my breath.
Like, wow, she's really like making it really like serious. It was like a long pause.
Yeah. No, I guess though, like, in a way, like, what actually, I haven't asked you. What would you do as a parent? What would you do to, so that, your babies don't end up down that path? What would you do differently?
I think for me, my number one thing when I found out I was going to be a mum, was I need to have communication with my kid. Because our kids, well, at least for like, older generations, you can't communicate with the parents, because it's almost like you're terrified to approach them about anything. Because especially if it's not in the direction of, school and then work, it's something completely different, because the older generation aren't very experienced in that area. It's almost like it's a hassle.
Yeah.
Like, why are you hassling me with this nonsense?
Yeah.
why are you bothering me with this that doesn't really matter? So my big thing is communication with Brooklyn, because if I'm not communicating with her, I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah. And she has no idea. So if we can't communicate, she's gonna end up doing things that I don't approve of, or I don't agree with, and if anything, it's partly my fault, because I'm the adult, so I should be able to create that open space where she can communicate with me. Yeah. So that's number one for me. Is that we're constantly communicating, because she tells me even now. I know she's only 4, but she's quite she's quite mouthy, like her mum. So she's already telling me, I'm really upset with you. Yeah. And then when you're an island kid, you can't say that to you cannot. I'm upset with you, mum, because you'll get a slap to the face
before you finish the
before
sentence.
You even before I'm really upset, and so she tells me now if she's not happy with me, and then I'll ask her why, and then she'll explain to me why, and I'll be like, okay, the reason why I did this and that is because this and that. So that constant communication is for me key. That's just for me. I think the next thing is just love them, and like really love them. Not in the sense of like what you think love is, but love where you love them for all their flaws. Yeah, yeah. Even when they do things that they make mistakes. And I think the thing with our older generation is that kids aren't allowed to make mistakes. Yes. You're not. If you do make a mistake, you're branded like really, really badly. Yeah. Whereas, it's unfair for adults to make mistakes, but to not give the kid that sort of same courtesy. Yeah. I just think is just, humans make mistakes. So our kids are going to make mistakes. Yeah. But I think, what was I saying? I think expecting them to make mistakes is also part of it as well, because we as parents, we make mistakes too. So just love them. Really, really love them. I think that's what kids mainly want. I know as a kid, that's all I wanted, was my parents to love me and accept my, not all the things that I did that they didn't approve of, but, you just want them to love you unconditionally. Yeah. So that's a big one. Communication, love. Love should have been first, but whatever. And I think the third thing would be, I think I would expose her to just other outlets. Yeah. my like different things, like positive things that, you know, she could, you know, learn to play an instrument, or she could, you know, do a sport, or she could. There's heaps of other things that are out there for our kids, and our people are talented ass people, man.
Yeah.
So there's heaps of other things that you can sort of help them, you know, experience, so they know that, oh yeah, there's those options, but I don't really want those options. I want to do these things and like explore that, and do those sorts of things.
Yeah.
But those are my main three. I think that's how I would. Well, I'm gonna try. Yeah.
No,
I'm gonna try and do with her.
Those are really, really good points, because like when you say communication, 100%.
Yeah.
Because like going back to your previous point about, you know, there are some families that do all the, like, you know, the right things by their kids.
Yeah.
But somehow they still end up in gangs.
Yeah.
Communication, like, that's where you find out what's happening.
Yeah.
What's wrong? What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't know that these kids are getting abused somewhere.
Yeah. Like
So
behind closed doors, they have no idea what's like they just probably think their kids are right and they're like, you know, they're fine, but they have no idea what's going on.
So, I mean, like, even if you think that you're doing everything right, there's something that's happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you 100% communication. And, oh my gosh, I just had my black. What was your last one?
I think I had communication, love and expose them to other outlets.
Yeah. So, and this is also from experience, like, don't force your kids to do rugby.
You just had to throw that in there. All right, we're telling you now.
No, 100%. Like, I understand, because, like, you know, rugby, yes, it's like, you know, it's good. It's a really good outlet for, you know, and especially our young Pacific Islander, like, you know, boys, yeah. You know, rugby is it's either rugby or that, like, I find, because I know with my parents, it was, they either put them in sport or they're out on the streets. So that's why they put them in sports. Yeah. But not knowing that these guys, like, but I don't know if it's that they didn't like the sport or they just got pressured. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, cool. Put them in the sport and everything. If you think that it distracts them from, you know, being out on the streets, that's beautiful. But then don't go and pressure them to be like the next NRL player.
Balance. And we're not experts, man. Honestly, we're not experts. We're still, you know, learning too. So,
but when you said, you know, find other outlets, 100%. Like, you know, I feel like there's stuff that our youth want to do. Yeah. And sometimes, like, you know, because it's not a common route that we take, they're embarrassed by it. Yeah. So they bury it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Or they're just scared. I find that our people are so scared to just say anything to their parents. Yeah. And it's really sad because, like, I guess you just got to risk telling them because, you know, the worst thing they could do is not approve. But I think if you persevere and show them, no, this is a good thing. And for me, like, if you're an island parent, it's either that or a gang. Like, yeah.
But then there's that, like, along with the financial pressure, is that, you know, parents also pick and choose what jobs you should do. So even if you're pursuing something like this, where you're getting no money, no income from it, but it's a passion, you know what I mean? It's not acceptable for parents because you're not bringing in money to help out the family. Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the other issues as well.
I think we just, I'm hoping, like, we break the cycle of how parenting is with children. Yeah. Like, especially island kids. Because, it's not working.
I find our generation is doing that. I find our generation is really breaking that cycle. Yeah. Hopefully it also means that, you know, less of our kids are sort of looking at gangs now.
Yeah. In all honesty, I don't even think it's as common as it was for our parents' generation to join. I don't think it's as common now, which is a good thing, like, you know, baby steps. But, yeah, it's still, like, one of those things where we really need to focus on the kids, man.
But, like, I mean, our parents' generations or our grandparents' generations, like, the gangs in those days, I think this might be another. I'm not being judgmental or anything, but like back then, it was rebelling against the system. You know what I mean? Whereas I find these days, we've got a lot more freedom, but they're still in gangs because it's now I don't know. It's more the connection rather than rebelling against the government system or something like that. Because I don't know. Back then there was like a higher purpose of why these gangs were gangs. Yeah. But then come down to our generation, we've got everything anyway. Yeah. I mean, we got way more opportunity than our
parents and their parents.
Yeah. But yeah. But why aren't they grasping that?
I'm not sure. I think it's one of those things that it'll work slowly. It's slowly getting there, I suppose.
Yeah. What would your main message, like if you knew somebody that was good, to any youth, our Pacific youth out there, who are looking to join a gang, what would your message be?
I think that's a hard one. I think for our youth, I hope that, because I know it's just them feeling lonely and they've got no way out, and they want to feel that sense of belonging, and they're lost. I'm not saying it in a condescending way. I'm saying it in a way where as a teenager, I knew I was lost. Yeah. I knew I was completely out of my depth, and I did not know what the heck I was doing. So I know our kids are just they're terrified to go to their parents. They're terrified to, there's no other outlet for them available or accessible to them. Mm-hmm. But my message would be just find some sort of help or some sort of outlet that doesn't lead them to that sort of life. Yeah, it's because there's so much out there for us, so many good things out there that you can do. I'm not saying a gang's not good. I'm just saying, they could, invest their time into something that could make them feel like they have that sense of identity. Yeah. And make them feel like they belong somewhere, and make them feel, I suppose. So just hang in there, and just, talk to someone, talk to anyone that you feel comfortable with. And if they don't give you the sort of message that you want to, take or anything, go to someone else. Yes. Talk to anyone, heaps of people, until you find that one person who gets you and they understand and they help you look at different outlets and, help you discover new experiences. But yeah, because our kids are just, I know that there's so much out there for us as people. So yeah, I think that's my message. What about you, Chus?
Yeah, you're right. It is hard.
It's so hard, especially because I'm just like, I don't want to sound like I'm parenting you or.
I think my number one advice to, and I'm thinking mainly of, I've got brothers that are young, and you don't have to know the answers to life. Yeah. You don't have to have things figured out. You're still young. I honestly, I'm not afraid to admit it, but I'm in my 30s. Yeah. And I feel like these are the best years of my life. It's natural for teenagers to be confused in that age. And then when you come out of that teen years into adulthood, it's expected that we're supposed to have life figured out. Mm-hmm. You don't. Nah. You don't. Nah. I'll tell you now, the 20s, that's more like your age. It out. Yeah, where you sort of go and feel around. Yeah. Not physically, but
you can, but look after yourself.
Sort of just explore other things. Yeah. That's the time when you can, I would love to see a lot of this is try new things. Yeah. You could do I don't know if you want to do try a course one day or try something else
or an
another
apprenticeship
day.
Or traineeship or something.
Get into some creative arts, but you don't have to have your life figured out by then. You can just try different things. Yeah. So that by the time when you're 30, I honestly feel like when you hit your 30s, and I found this out too. When I hit my 30s, it was like I just looked at my time ahead and I looked at my time before.
Yeah.
When I looked at my 20s, I was like, man, what a waste of
Yeah.
what a waste of 10 years. But then when I looked at my ahead, I was like, I'm getting old. I need to get my shit together.
Yeah.
So you're in that sweet spot
Yeah.
where then you know what decisions you need to make, because when you're in your 20s, you were trying out different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at the consequences as well when you join a gang, because I as well, like I found in the study as well, a lot of gang members join the gang in their youth, and then it's usually around 30s and 40s where they want out, and that's usually when they have a family or they have kids. When you're in your youth, you don't think about that, but when you're that age where you're actually settling down, it's hard. It's hard to get out of that. By that point, it's hard to get out of the gang. So think about that as well, because I know you don't think about having kids, but you will have kids eventually. You will have a family. It's all part of life. That's natural.
Yeah.
But think about how you would want your child to view you.
Yeah.
You know, do they want to see you as this, you know, like you want to be remembered as somebody that's like saw a lot of challenges but just faced them, and found better ways of doing it. But yeah, I think we put a lot of like, especially us, because, and understandable, because our parents, you know, there is a lot of financial pressure, but like, and there's that pressure where you're supposed to know what you're supposed to do after school, because after school they say go get a job or go to uni. But then you sit there and you're trying to think, well, what kind of job do I want? What course do I want to study at uni? You know what I mean? And it's always end up being the route that your parents want. Teacher, doctor, you know, those kind of like jobs. But yeah, don't feel like you have to figure things out at that age. Yeah. There's probably a lot more, but I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else?
I'm good, cuz. I'm good.
Again, apologies if we've offended anybody. I feel like this is the kind of conversations we all should be having. Like Mary said in the beginning of this topic, a lot of us, it's a very controversial topic.
Yeah.
It's very taboo in our community.
Like I said, I put on the blinders and pretend like I don't know anything, but I know, you know, I'm just being stupid. So I know it's there, especially when I know people who are a part of that life. So yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, for us as parents as well, there's always that, you know, do this, don't join a gang.
Yeah.
But we don't really sort of go into the story of like why you should not be in a gang. You know, explain to them, and show them that you're going to be there. But yeah, not meaning to shit on gangs or anything either. Not meaning to shit on parents as well. But it's hard. Yeah, I totally understand. But it's a good conversation to have, and I think that, you know, if more and more of our families, our people started having these conversations, we'd be a lot more knowledgeable.
It'd be a different outcome, I think.
Yeah,
I think.
And encourage for a better future for our youth. Yeah, all of our youth. And you know, give them hope that there's a lot bigger things out there for them. Yeah. All right. I think we'll end it at that. Yeah. Because I'm literally out of breath. So, yeah, sorry for the heavy breathing. But
You're nearly there.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, guys.